Hello and welcome to another MTD podcast on the road with MTDCNC. This is the podcast that is broadcast every Friday evening at 6 p.m, where we talk about everything we've been up to this week and what's happening in the news in general, and of course what we're going to be doing in the weeks ahead. Today I'm joined by two gentlemen, Giovanni Albanese and Colin Griffiths. Gio's in his Italy shirt, I'm in my England shirt, and Colin's in no shirt.
Well, fortunately, it's audio, not video. So
no,
yeah,
it is video
that.
today,
But I'm not happy about having an Italy shirt. I'm not having someone wearing an Italy shirt while recording.
That's good, right? That's got rid of the worst one of the three. How are you then, Gio? You all right?
Yeah, all good, thank you, Paul. Not too bad at all.
You went to the game the other night. Oh, he's back. He's back.
We know Italy are going to get smashed anyway. So
you went to the game, didn't you? You went to the semi. How was it?
Oh, mate, yeah, it's a brilliant experience. It was absolutely awesome. I mean, to be fair, Spain outplayed us. We were very lucky, I think, to get through, and we're very fortunate. But yeah, I've got to take it. It was brilliant. All right,
we're going to talk about football in a second, but before we do, I'm just going to say what's coming up on this week's show. We've had a busy week here at MTDCNC. We were at Fanuc on Monday. We'll be talking about that. Middlesex Aerospace, we were there on Tuesday. We've been to Cutting Blue, a company in the Midlands, 2G Tooling, Brown and Holmes, Citizen and Star, all companies we visited this week, and also you were at DMG Mori as well doing podcasts. So all of this is going to come up in the coming sort of 30 minutes or so. But we can't carry on. We can't talk about these things until we have spoken about the football. Because Colin, have you been enjoying it? I've not had
absolutely loved it. Really, it's brilliant, isn't it? Absolutely fantastic. We were talking beforehand. I hate to be obviously I want England to win. I'm not convinced we will, gentlemen. I know that might be a bit controversial, but
yeah, well,
maybe I'm too drunk when I'm watching the games.
I think the opposition we've got is the worst opposition we could face in terms of for us, because I think that I think mentally they'll have it in their head that they know how to beat England.
Yeah.
I look at it a bit like being an Arsenal fan, Man City playing Arsenal. Man City just know how to beat us. It doesn't matter
how
well
to beat you.
It doesn't matter how well we play. They will just. I just feel that.
I think entirely the opposite to what both of you were saying. I think that looking at Sterling at the minute is absolutely unplayable. And albeit, Bonucci and Chiellini are great defenders, they're getting on a bit. They haven't got the legs.
I'm having some of that for dinner tonight.
They haven't got
sorry.
They haven't got the legs, and I just think that the pace up front with Saka, Sterling, I think it's going to be a very, very, very close game. Tactics will probably decide it. It's going to be fine margins. But I'm fancying England's chances, I really do.
Okay, I hope you're right. I mean, what about Pickford in goal, Colin? What do you think about him? Because you've got some experience in goal.
I was Balmain. That's Balmain in Sydney's top keeper, the best keeper they've ever had. There's not much competition.
Well, I heard they used to call you the nun.
Well, go on, make it funny, Paul.
You never let anything in.
That's good. But no, I think Pickford. He's been moving. I think he's been outstanding. He really has. That one goal, and you said that free kick he should have had that. The way that went up and down, the pace it went at. He got his fingertips to it, and I think he did well to do that. I think
it was a rocket, wasn't it?
It was.
He didn't have. That was a
quality free kick. I think he's been. When he's been playing for Everton, he's had a few wobbles and things like that. But I think for England, his mind is focused, he's concentrating, his distribution. A couple of wobbles on that last game, but distribution. I just think he's superb. Really is. He needs to sort his Barnet out though. What's going on with that?
Wow. What's that? Pot calling kettle black? Or is that what
did you say cat calling dog a furry ass? You can't say that.
I was thinking exactly the same there. But
look at that. Vidal Sassoon.
What are your predictions for the game?
It's going to be a football game.
Score.
I'm going to have a few beers. That's it. That's all I'm predicting. 3-0 England.
Oh, so you're going against? You're contradicting what you originally said.
I've still got to be. I'm not positive.
Well, let's see. By the time we do this podcast next Friday, we'll know the result. So a little bit different to normal. We're just going to talk about everything we've been up to this week. I'm not going to split it down into days anymore. I'm just going to talk about some of the highlights. One of the first ones I wanted to start with was the Cutting Blue. You were there.
What a great machine shot. That's Peter,
Colin.
Spelt Piotr. Pronounced Peter, so we got that correct. It's a great machine shop, great machines, but it's not just about the machines. So they got a DMG Mori, and it was on the finance because he said, I don't want to say this. Well, doesn't want to say it on camera. He goes, I've always wanted a DMG. But it's just absolutely brilliant machine.
What machine is it, Colin?
DMG Mori.
What?
I honestly can't, I do apologise.
It's a VMC, isn't it? It's just a
Yeah,
it's a
three-axis
VMC.
But it's also carbon neutral, which is one of the key things about his business. Is he's environmentally friendly, carbon neutral all the way. So loves it.
I mean, he's a kind of a research and development outfit in a lot of senses, isn't he? But the spindles aren't going 24 hours a day. This is sort of prototyping and making
smaller batch runs. But one thing, actually, I'm going to put you to the test here. He's making parts for electric vehicles. But what sort of electric vehicles? Have a guess. I'll let you guess first, Gio. It's got blank stares. No.
Helicopters.
Helicopter, yeah. You've got a long cable for an electric helicopter, aren't you? Electric surfboards.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Absolutely.
How does that work?
It's a surfboard with an electric motor in it. I don't know.
So when you're going out, you don't need to paddle out. Probably.
I didn't go that in depth.
That must be the case though. So if you want, when you want to get out, you can put your motor on, and when you're coming in, you turn it off.
Yeah, electric surfboard though. But great machine shot. So the DMG Mori, which he's always aspired to have, and a fantastic Doosan, which huge working envelope. And he said I can get 3 different jobs on this. Just set it up. But it's not just about that, and it's the tooling as well. Hoffman, loves it. He was using another supplier. He said, look, these cost a little bit more, not a lot more, but he reckons he could do 3 times the speed of cut.
So return of investment on them putting towards his...
Yeah.
Well, I also heard 80% of his turnover is export as well, which is quite a phenomenal figure.
The electric surfboards are going to...
I think you wouldn't use surfboards in this country, would you?
Well, I think they're going to Sweden, I think he said, which is a famous surfing country.
Is it?
No. But it is. I think he said it was going to Sweden. But also software.
Open Minds, Hypermill. You've been using. I think he got a background from a Formula One business, hadn't he?
Right. I didn't.
From what I've been told.
How old is he, Colin?
I don't ask that much. I'm just interested in machines.
But there was a good visit. I mean, he's also a part of the MTD network, isn't he?
He most certainly is.
The Factory Now platform. Yep. So he's a guy that's looking to really promote
that most definitely. Get showcase. I mean, those components. He's made some absolutely cracking components. So videos are coming soon on those.
I also heard that he got 6 months. No payments on the DMG Mori, no deposit, no VAT. I mean, I can't speak for exactly what the deal was, but that's some help for him going.
Absolutely. Well, it's the same with Andy Seuss at Bedford CNC. 6 months capital repayment holiday. I mean, you get the work in, you're paying, you're building up that sort of nest egg. Essentially, to start when payments are due, it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. You're earning money before you have to pay it back, which is great, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you can't. I do think sometimes when that happens, though, there's less pressure on you, which can be a good thing. There's less pressure on you to keep the spindle going to get work out the door, isn't there? Because you haven't got the financial.
So you might not
commitment.
be working as hard.
So you might not work as hard, which some people might like.
No, but I think those guys are, because they, like Peter alluded to, he said, "This is just a machine I've always wanted." So he's going to keep that spindle.
And what it does, it gives him so much rope, doesn't it, to grow his company and not have to worry about the commercial stuff as much. We've also been to Fanuc this week. Good news about an event that's happening there on November the 1st through to the 5th. First week in November, 5 days. MTDCNC are going to be streaming this event live. It's all going to be about automation and automation across different sectors, across different machining disciplines as well, robotics. There'll be companies there participating such as Mill CNC and Mazak and various others. But the big thing about the Fanuc events is that they do these panel discussions. So what we'll have on the Tuesday, Wednesday and the Thursday, and it is really, it's a date for everyone's diary really, because it's a physical event, which is the first, time we're talking about one of these for a while. They're expecting hundreds and hundreds of people to turn up for the event. But for those that can't, we'll be streaming it live. On the Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday, they're going to have these breakout panel discussions. I've seen them before, attract a lot of attention. They talk about things like Industry 4, robotics, the impact of automation on businesses, the way forward. Lindsay was there. She interviewed Tom Boucher, so that will be coming out soon, so people will be able to get a feeling for what the event is about. But she also looked at the new CIC EDM machine with Anthony Biggs there, which is one of their new EDM machines. It's got a faster automatic wire loader on it. It's a much smaller footprint, but it's also a machine that Fanuc have done very well with their EDM and their wire machines. And this one is going to offer operators more productivity in a smaller footprint, and it's got all the benefits of their modern.
Is that one thing they aim at? Because you've got is it the Robo, small footprint. They've got the turnstile carousel tool changers, super fast butts, taking big cuts.
I think it's one of the things that Fanuc always look at is the practicality of installing these machines, and if you can reduce the footprint of a product but still maintain the capabilities of it and the capacity, that's where they angle. But of course, when you're buying a Fanuc product, you're not just buying a Fanuc name, you're buying a Fanuc machine with a Fanuc control, you're buying a Fanuc machine with Fanuc drives, you're buying a Fanuc machine with Fanuc motors. You've got it's
Fanuc-tastic, that is.
It's all Fanuc, and it's one of the reasons why you often go in machine shops and you see one of their machines, whether it be a Robo drill or an EDM machine, and you say, you know, how's the service been on this machine? And they say, do you know what, we haven't had a service engineer out since 1992 or something, and this thing is just cutting. And
is that like that old beer ad? What's the old beer advert? Was it Heineken? And it's the cobwebs all over the phone because it's the helpline. No one ever calls it.
Is that right?
Yeah, well, no, come on, you must know. It's a beer advert.
No, I'm not saying. But it is. I think that is what they strive to do, and these machines just keep going and keep going. So Anthony did a great review on that machine, and that's all in line with some news that we heard recently about them producing their 750,000th robot.
Wow.
Which
750,000th
robots, which we spoke about last week. So that was a visit that we had. You were also at DMG Mori as well, Gio, this week, weren't you?
Yeah, again, we've embarked on a podcast journey with them, MTD, and this week we looked at DMG Mori sales and a little bit what going on covering what you've said really about the sales, the finance, but also the digitalisation side of the business and how important that is now, you know, remote access, kind of all of the software that's behind the machine tool and all of the efficiency gains now that you get from digitalisation, and also what you mentioned, Colin, about eco-friendly. Yep. You know, they're really looking into the future and trying to make their machines as eco-friendly as they possibly
they've got the badge on the cutting blue one, CO2, I think neutral, even positive or negative. Anyway, it's
but they're always just investing in new technology. All the money, even through COVID, all their money still went into the same amount of money went into R&D. They're now, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, DMG Mori, but I think UK sales consist of 50% new business, which is absolutely astounding, really. You know, that could be to do with the finance as well as the product. You know,
well, how many products have they got in their range?
155 different.
God, look at that, he knew straight away.
So there's a big product
155 different machines, or 155 different
155 different machine types.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a big range, and I think. But when we were talking, John Henderson was part of the podcast, and when we were talking about just selling the machine, it's selling a solution now. Like what we do and what we talk about every day on MTD, it's like looking for the right machine tool for the application, and now that they're bringing in their own automation solutions, their own digitalization solutions. The podcast before, it's actually on the MTD platform now, was on life cycle products and all the digital products that can go alongside the machine tool to get the very, very best out of the. And it's like machine tool monitoring as well, effectively. But it's getting that way now, Paul.
50% new business. That's good.
It's phenomenal.
From a sales director's perspective, that's exactly.
You used to be in machine tool sales, Paul. I know you had to move out because you didn't sell many, but
we got 0%. 0%. New sales and
when you were there,
realistically,
50% when you left.
In all seriousness, though, in terms of new sales, new business, what percentage would when you were doing it?
You were always looking for probably 1 in 3.
Yeah.
You were
so 40% then.
Yeah, about that. Yeah, or maybe a bit less.
A maths-based, very bad maths-based gag there.
You were always looking for that new business, and mainly because you knew that the more new business you got, I'm talking, you know, simple economics here, but the more new business you got, the more opportunity you got for repeat business going forward. So you're growing your territory. Yeah. But you also used to get rewarded, and I'm sure machine tool companies do still, when you get into a new customer, you used to get paid an incentive to do that, because it's a win-win for everybody.
You're increasing your market share.
You're increasing your market share, but getting new business is really tough. You know, I mean, compared to selling a machine to an existing customer, selling a machine to a new company, I do not underestimate how difficult it is, because you're normally competing against someone that's already got kit in there, and you're relying on the fact that you've got a better product, you've got a better support network, and those things are really hard to overcome because a lot of machine tool businesses are very good at what they do. So
they're all good at what they do.
They're all good at what they do.
You go to a machine shop and they will have a bank of where Hercos or Deuce, and that's it. Why those machines? Well, they're good machines, but we like them, and so
it's tough.
Very true,
and that's why I never got any. That's why. So no, fair play to DMG Maury. That is a really good statistic. 50% of new business. Just before we move on, I just wanted to mention there was a couple of news stories that are featured across our channels this week. Don't forget we have plenty of channels here at MTDCNC. We've got the MTDCNC website. We've got MTD MFG. We've got the MTD network. We've also got Swarf and Chips. You can find any of those channels by using the MTDCNC website. But a couple of news stories that came out this week following a series of investments at Worcester-based manufacturer Yamazaki. They're now going to bring into the UK the production of their quick turn 350 models and also their CV50. Well, in fact, this works alongside the CV50. There are other quick turn machines and some of the other machines they make there. Because Mazak historically make a lot of their machines into Japan, but they obviously make a lot here at their European HQ as well. But they're bringing more back to the European HQ to be made.
Why?
So I suppose that we've been to the technical centre there, and it's a brilliant manufacturing plant. I know
supply and demand,
and supply and demand.
British manufacturing, isn't it? Leading the world. We lead the world.
The expertise of building these machines.
You think just over the last 12, 18 months with logistical issues, getting machines into countries, lead times kind of increasing. So I can understand why. Really, you master your own destiny, aren't you?
And you don't want to be losing an order because you haven't got a machine, and that's what we are hearing a lot about.
Yeah, some of them delivery times sort of September, November now.
Yes. And we also had the announcement this week of the £100 million investment in Vauxhall's Ellesmere port plant to make the electric vehicles. Now, I've got to say, if you do watch GB News, which is a fairly...
I'll tell you what, I had a fright the other night when I was watching GB News.
So that was, I think was it Wednesday night or Tuesday night? Mr. Reynolds appeared next to Michelle Dewsbury, and he did a rather sterling job, I have to say.
Turn that straight over with Joe. I can't escape. He's on MTD and he's on GB
He
News.
messaged me about 5 o'clock. He says, turn on GB News at 6:25. And I was like, oh, right, okay, yeah, well... what's going on? Oh, yeah, I'm on GB News. And then I turned it on about 6:15 and Michelle Dewsbury was on there. And then, of course, Joe made an appearance. They're leaning on us, and I mean that with the, in all seriousness, for good manufacturing news. So it's a regular thing. MTD, MFG and Jefferson, part of that collaboration, are going to be appearing regularly on GB News. So Joe did a great job of explaining, not that I was listening to what he was saying, I don't know whether you were, I was just astounded to see him on there, to be honest.
No, I turned over and watched the chase, mate.
Great news, great news.
It was good to see him on there, and I think he held his nerve calmly. He was more calm and collective there than he was when I went to watch the England match with him, I can tell you that. He was like nervous Neris when we were there. So that was good news. And there was also another bit of news from Zeiss, Gio, that we had on the channel about their Metro Tom 1, which, have you done a review on this?
Yeah, so we done a technical corner that's on the MTD platform now, and it's a brand new product launch really. That we launched it on the technical corner just after it got launched. Right. So it's a fantastic bit of technology, CT scanner.
CT scanner, yeah.
But it's a very small footprint.
Is this the one that shows up red, amber, green?
That's GOM Inspect.
I do apologise.
But that does incorporate GOM Inspect. But basically what it does, so it can actually check the internal features of a component, but not only check the internal features dimensionally to check if there's any debris in there, but it also can tolerance the internal features and external features of pretty much any material. But even if the materials was half plastic, half metal, phenomenal piece of kit. And brilliant.
Yeah, so there is a video people can watch on the channel.
Yeah,
as well,
and I think that it really does lend itself to people, say for example, if you were doing castings, before you start adding value to them castings, as just one example, wouldn't it be great to check it on the CT scanner, make sure there's no blowholes inside the casting before you start adding value to it and start sending it through the shop?
100%. Too many times I've started to cut castings and found halfway through they've got the...
Yeah, either that or you haven't machined it properly, but you play, I think it's more the latter, Paul.
Just before we move on again, videos on the channel this week from Zeiss, as Gia mentioned, also NC Cloud in Essex. That's generated a lot of interest on our channel about this
Mr. Deadman was out
factory
there,
of the future. Really interesting video there. There's some comments on the video, people thinking, you know, I mean, I don't know enough about the story, to be fair, but what I can say is the guys that are running that business seem to really know what they're trying to achieve with their factory of the future. So it's worth a watch. We've also got videos from Makino on the site, on their EDM, some brilliant technical corners from Joe. Also videos from Gemtech at the Techno Group, and a superb walk around A&M's machine shop with Lindsay and David Waghorn, as well as a review I did on the Doosan DVF 6500 from Mills CNC. And in fact, that's just a handful.
What about PSL Data Track? They had a cracking.
PSL Data Track, yeah, as I say, there's just a handful of videos. It was I think we've recorded over 45 videos added to the platform and the channel this week. So,
wow.
And then Zois reported to me yesterday or the day before that they actually had an inquiry straight away for the CT.
That was me.
Straight away. Was it you?
I wanted to have a look at the internal workings of this.
Oh, please, no, don't. We haven't got a scanner big enough.
See how much information
there was in there. One,
yeah.
You wouldn't die immediately, but then as soon as you come out, your body will start shutting down, and it's
right?
an awful way. Yeah, an awful way to die.
Chernobyl.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
All parts of your body, not just. Oh, right. Sorry.
2G Tooling. We were there. Lindsay was there with Chloe on Thursday. Second time we've been back to this company. They're over the moon with their new Abarmier travelling column 5-axis machine supplied by Dugard. I found out something interesting as well about Abarmier. They're actually now working in conjunction. It's the Add Plus process technology, and it's like a group of companies that are working together to get additive manufacturing on travelling column machines. We see a lot of this, but just to hear that Abarmier are into it as well. You imagine having a huge sort of 3-metre travelling column machine with a 5-axis table in it, a tipping head, but also the ability to do 3D printing on it as well.
So it was cutting and printing.
You could cut and print. So, you know, you can... The opportunities are endless, and we see it a lot where companies are looking to do either repair work or they're machining parts, and then they want to add bits to it. You know, and it's
what
good.
What kind of materials, Paul?
I'm not 100% sure. I just picked it up on their website. I'm very interested in Abarmier. We will be going to Spain. Actually, we've been invited over to Spain to see some of their machines, but. Yeah, it's good technology coming out of there, and Chris from 2G has said he's absolutely over the moon. It's opened up so many new markets for him. The fact he can now 5-axis machine. Before on his tools, he just had 3-axis, so he could only do 3-axis work. But now he can get into different areas, and he can, be more streamlined with his machining. So that was another good visit this week. Colin, you've been doing a fair bit for your Swarfenship special, haven't you? Which is coming up or due to be released.
I've been travelling around the country. Interrogating.
Well, without giving too much away, you've been to Citizen and Star this week.
That's all you're getting.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I most certainly have. We're doing a special about sliding head technology, sliding head machines, and it's just phenomenal. Some of the stuff we've learned, it's brilliant. Not only been to Star and Citizen, but a number of other companies where they've got the machines. And why have you got, in simple terms, why have you got a slider? I won't tell you why they've got a slider, but there's some great stuff coming out of it. There really is. And I owe Star a big thank you, because they've given me one of their big lightsabers. That saves me buying a present for my nephew for his birthday. Result.
They are brilliant, aren't they? They are absolutely superb. They are. I mean, I have to say that the Swarfenships, this is a new show. Every month, the start of the month, we pick a topic and we go really into detail about the issues that engineers face and about solving them. This month on July the 1st, we had about vertical machining centres and getting more out of them. Colin's got one coming out on August the 1st about sliding heads. And I know Gio's got one in the near future as well on work holding solutions. And this is going to carry on continuously. So really worth a watch. In fact, the one that came out on July the 1st is already registered something like 360 watch hours.
360 watch hours?
Fantastic.
Yeah, watch hours, which is, pretty... In fact, no, I think it's more than that one. So I think it's about 750 watch hours. So it's been fantastic. But what will people learn, Colin, on August the 1st, do you think, without giving too much away? Will they learn that these machines are more capable than they thought? Will they learn that
absolutely, yeah. I mean, just from very basics, you've got a basic manual lathe in your machine shop, 2-axis, your X and your Z, these things, the amount of axes on them, and the only limit... As one of the guys said, the only limit on these machines now is your imagination. It really is. It's the components they can make and things like that.
So you won't be doing much on them then?
Absolutely. They wouldn't even let me press a button on them. But
are they still doing well? Are they still selling a lot?
Star and Citizen, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, not undermining what they do, but delivery times are being pushed up because there's so much demand. But they're doing their best.
News,
I mean, we went there to film some machines, and hardly had any. I had to stop and take one out because. It's sold, mate. It's got to go.
Yeah, no, it's happening all the time at the moment, which is good for the industry. So that's on August the 1st. That will be coming out in due course.
August the 1st? Oh, blimey, that's the first time you heard that.
We was also this week. I was at Hella with Hella with Carl. We had a planning meeting there because over the next few months you're going to see a lot from Hella coming across our channel. This is a company, would you believe, one of the only companies that's still manufacturing. I know we talked about Mazak, but a company that also manufactures machines here in Redditch is Hella. And I walked down their flow line, their production line the other day, and it was the first time I've been back into an environment where machines are being made for 18 months. Normally we're abroad, we're seeing where machines are made, we're seeing the castings, we're seeing the rollerways, we're seeing the spindles being built. Haven't seen that for ages, but here at Hella we were able to see that again, and it was great to see these machines going down the line. They're facing the same kind of issues with deliveries, getting parts in to finish machine builds, but they're also seeing an upturn in sales as well. But some of the videos you'll be seeing from Hella will be all about the differences between what we talk about a lot, horizontal machining and vertical machining. Why buy a horizontal machining centre compared to a vertical? Where are the areas that you can win? Also, their 5-axis machine, how they can cut significant savings in cycle times because of the dynamics of their machines. And because they make the machines there, we'll be able to actually see the parts that contribute to those savings.
If they're making those machines there, are they doing sort of bespoke options for customers to say, well, actually, I want to tweak it a bit, or that's a bit too much to ask?
I mean, the Hella machines, they I think what Hella do, which a lot of machine tool businesses don't these days, is Hella focus on horizontal, high speed, 5-axis machines or 4-axis machines, and that is their core competence. They don't drift much outside of that, but what they do they're very, very good at. And their latest generation of machines, they've got certain guarantees around reductions of cycle times and so forth. But they've been very successful in automotive sectors, areas where you talk about automotive, spindle needs to keep going. The minute you talk about an automotive industry and parts, the demands, the penalties for not meeting the requirements of a customer, you need machines that cut and continually cut, and that really is what Hella.
With the electric vehicles, is that going to mean a shift in dynamics of what they do, or
possibly
it's more
because
the larger parts they manufacture?
I think the point I make about automotive is really to say where the history is, but that doesn't necessarily denote where the future could be, because even more industries are demanding those unmanned production needs. So if you can do it in the automotive, you can do it anywhere. I think
100%.
But when you say unmanned, people think robots really, but it's not just robots. It's your bar feeders, your bar loaders, your robots, your pallet changers, even things like
that is automation.
Yeah, have you been reading my script? Because that was one of the things that Matthias actually said to us there. He was like, what you see in this building here is a lot of horizontal twin pallet machines. And he says, people keep talking about automation. This is automation. That spindle can run 24 hours a day with 2 pallets. Yep. You don't need to have robotics necessarily. So, and that brings me on to my next point actually, which I was going to say about Middlesex Aerospace, which is a company I was at this week on Tuesday. He interviewed 3 young apprentices, females in engineering, and there's actually something called Women in Aerospace, which I wasn't aware of. But it's an organisation where females are getting together and talking about their experiences in manufacturing, and it's something MTD wants to be part of.
Brilliant.
But I spoke to, and I'm going to give a shout out actually to Dagmara, Caitlin, and Amy, 3 terrific. What would I say? Examples, terrific examples of young female engineers that love talking about machines, technologies, inspection. And we did what was really fascinating. We did the thing with Zeiss about and Williams F1 about, and we asked people at the start which area of engineering. A lot of apprentices, for those that don't know, it's on our YouTube channel, but we did an event with Williams and Zeiss at the Myra Technical Institute, and there was about 40 students in there, and we asked them, what part of engineering do you want to go in? Stick your hand up. Do you want to be a machinist? Do you want to be a quality man? And hardly anyone, or a designer, and hardly anyone put their hands up to be a quality inspector, did they? They all wanted to do the other fancy bits. 2 of these young ladies both work in quality, and they wanted to get in quality, and they loved the fact that they can look at parts and make those parts better, look at ways of planning the parts through to make them just anything to do with the quality assurance side of things.
But when you say quality, I'm thinking they've machined it and they're checking the tolerances and things like that. But that's not the case then.
Well, it's part of the case, but it's also in the planning of that. So how do you make the part so you can make it to better tolerances? Do you change the way the part's made?
Right.
What are the areas that you need to check? Is it just about the tolerances, or is it about the overall?
Is it over-engineered? Some of the parts are so over-engineered that their tolerances are too tight, or they're effectively that part of the component is in fresh air.
Can I give an example of over-engineering? Honestly, years ago, it's a space race, everything like that. We need something to write in space. So the Americans spent millions coming up with a ballpoint pen that could write in zero gravity. The Russians just used a pencil. Serious, absolutely. Great example of over-engineering. Yeah. There you go.
Don't forget Brown and Holmes as well.
Yeah, I was going to come back. So on this point, on this particular point. The quality that they also get involved in is how they measure the parts. So do they do it on the machine or do it off the machine? What's the best way, the most reliable way?
On the machine, I'd say.
But it depends on the part, and it depends how, they might have customers that GW Martin, when we were at the other week, they have to, by regulation, measure every fifth part off the machine. It's just what the customer says. Yep. So then you've so all of these aspects they were really they were.
But they can still measure that on the machine though.
What they can do, but there's certain.
It depends if it needs to go on a CMM, because some of the CMMs can check to like micro tolerances.
And it's also the customer might say, right, for this particular application, what we want to see is every 10th part measured in a certain environment. And if you can't recreate that environment, you literally have to do it. But if you can make the machines better, which is what GW Martin are looking to do, is you can persuade the customer to reduce that to 1 in 100 or 1 in 200. Yep. And that's when quality and assurance comes in.
But what I'm coming back to in terms of checking in the machine, because that was part of one of your live shows, wasn't it, with ETG and Bloom? But surely it's better to keep that part in there so you keep your tolerances, your repeatability.
Absolutely,
like
it is 100%. But there are things and times where
you have to take it out,
and then you might have to. Yeah,
well, I think it boils down to a stable process. So once you've created a stable process and you can show and illustrate that, right, I can produce 1,000, and I know that every single one's going to be correct. So I'll 100% every 100. So I know that I can do 1,000 and they'll be okay. But just to even further prove that every single one's going to be okay, we'll 100% check 1 in 100, and I agree with you. If you can check it on the machine tool, that's better because it's in situ, and if you need to remachine it, you haven't got to put it back on and reclock it up, so on and so forth. But if it's within certain tolerances, that is achievable all the time. But then some of the components or some of the features are in like microns or within a micron, and there's only certain amounts of CMMs that can check to.
I'm going to use a phrase that you like. It's application specific.
Absolutely.
But there is also another interesting element to this, is that when you are working for a customer that specifies specific regulations, whatever it might be in the creation of a part, if you adhere to those, then the customer might not come back and check. But the minute you ring them up and say, you know what, I'm buying a new machine, I want to change it to measuring it every 10 parts instead of every 2 because I think my machine's better, you will be audited again in that process. So you might think, do you know what? I've got the business at the moment. I don't want to take the risk, because if they come and audit me and say, actually, no, you still have to measure it, it might mean that they might then go to other companies and look for the solution. So in a lot of instances, sometimes you're better off just doing things in a way that the customers
why fix it if it's not broken?
Just one point on this, and I think it's really interesting.
Well, we'll be the judge of that,
keep it really short. I know that we're time's running away from us, but we always used to talk about automation, and it was such a big barrier to entry. And I think that still now that with inspection and metrology, it's looked upon as a separate kind of thing to the manufacturing, but effectively inspection and metrology will also reduce cost per part, and that's what everyone is looking to do, because when people are looking to buy a machine tool, they think the machine tool makes them the money, the metrology will cost them the money or not make them the money. But effectively, if people are starting to look at it as a complete process, like what you're talking about now, what will happen is that the cost of part will reduce, and it increases overall efficiency within a manufacturing organisation.
So that was fairly interesting, Gio. I'll give you that one.
And you've led me perfectly into this, which will be I know we're going to come on to Brown and Holmes, but at Middlesex Aerospace, they just purchased a new Matsuura MAM. It's their first Matsuura machine. And Laurie Folds, who's the managing director, this gentleman got massive.
Is he good at origami?
He oozes charisma, honestly. If you think you're charismatic,
I know. I don't think I know.
If you think you're charismatic, well, you're not. But he seriously, he has got so much charm and charisma. And I was talking to him, and I said, what about your OEE? Because this is a big thing. Your equipment efficiency just goes. It's not about OEE. He says if I hear that what did he call it? An anagram? Is it
analogy?
No, not
anagram.
An analogy. When you've got three letters that
alliteration.
No, you've got three letters that represent the word. So
mnemonic.
No.
We're going to be here all day, aren't we?
It's on the tip of my tongue. OEE. So original equipment efficiency.
Yeah.
Not OEM. You're not on about OEM.
No, but what that phrase is called. There's a name for things like that. Yeah.
OEM, original equipment manufacturer.
Yeah.
What is it? It's called an acronym.
Right. Okay.
It's an acronym. Right. Okay. So anyway,
it's an acronym.
An acronym.
Oh gosh, it's a tongue twister.
He said it's all about the hours per week. He says don't want to hear about acronyms and OEEs. He says it's 168 hours a week. That's all you need to know. And I've said to my guys, you make that thing work as close to 168 hours a week as you can. Don't worry about percentages. 98. He says you've got 168 hours. I want that spindle in cut as much as that. And if you can get to 168, we're doing all right. And that's his interpretation of it. And I kind of comprehend. It's a much easier way of explaining what you need. And
simple, isn't it?
It's simple. You've got 168 hours. Make the damn thing work for 168. And he's achieving that with a maths.
Why 168 hours?
Well, because that's 24 hours, 8 days a week.
Excellent. I've just done the maths there. Yeah, you're actually right.
Brown and Holmes, Gio, we're going to finish on this one. Brown and Holmes this week.
Hold on. No, that's playing words. Brown and Holmes, work holding.
No, it's a great visit. Great to be back down there. And similar to what Colin's doing, I've started to work on the September show where we're going to be looking at work holding solutions for milling machines, just milling machines. So we looked at the work holding solutions that they've got on their DMG Mori 5th axis machine, and we looked at some hydraulic columns for horizontal machines, and some of the solutions that they offer are fantastic.
Are they doing bespoke solutions, or they've got a range of work holding?
Both. I mean, they're renowned for their specialised fixtures for aerospace companies to make the rings and the engine rings, but they can adapt and supply standard work holding as well, or even what you could say bespoke, dedicated work holding. Say, for example, you're doing high volume work. They can supply it. They can supply it so it can be automated. Especially we talk about automation all the time. So hydraulic fixturing, so it can communicate with the machine, all piped up with the machine, so it can open and close. But you've also got modular aspects as well. So if you were looking to have a solution and you're doing low volume but high mix, you can palletize these solutions too. So they've got.
Don't give us too much. You're giving us the whole story. Just whet our appetite. That's all we need. That's all we need.
Anyway, 1-1 in 90 minutes
1-1.
is my guess for the match.
Quickly going off track then. Guess what? Today, two things happened on this day in history.
I can tell you that one was did Germany win the European Cup in 1996?
I don't know. You asking me? I don't know.
I think it was.
Did they? Okay. Yeah. Well, O.J. Simpson was born.
Was he?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the famous glove in the court thing issue. And The Office, not this office, The Office with Ricky Gervais. The first episode was aired in 2001.
No way. That's such a good programme, that is.
It's quality. That's like you're the boss of this.
Yeah, that's what I aspire to be like.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and you're Gareth.
Wow, brutal.
You need to lose some weight. Just saying.
You can hear punching. Well, it might sound like punching because it's an audio. That's because it is punching.
So that's it. We've run over a little bit on time today. We're just over 40 minutes. But next week we're at Leader CNC Darley Daylor in Clacton. We're also at Dugard, Blue Diamond, and I'm sure plenty of others, Colin.
And Mike Harris is coming in for some more technical.
If Mike's listening, please don't do your dreadful James Bond impersonations. I wish to be rude, mate, but I sound more like James Bond right now than you do.
More like Mike, if you're listening, enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself here on Monday. That's it for this week's On the Road with MTDCNC. Join us again same time next week, 6:00, and come on, England!
Come on, England!
Thanks for listening to the MTD podcast. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe and leave a rating and review. Find more episodes on mtdcnc.com.